because instead of operating in silos, how online and offline marketing can be integrated in a better way to deliver more performance. What is your view on that?
I think that's one of the biggest challenges the brands face today, because the online marketing and digital marketing expertise is usually separate and kept independent of their creative and offline marketing, and that creates problems because the consumer is seeing something else in their print and outdoor, and actually seeing something slightly different on digital and other mediums. I think one way to make that work is that you need to have a communication that's standardized across all platforms, be it outdoor, be it television, be it digital, but find a way to adapt it. You may still have the same video running on television, but find a way to adapt it for Facebook, find a way to adapt it for YouTube, because each channel obviously works very differently. The second would be to look at how can you build that connect between online and offline, because consumers are actually doing both at the same time. And what I mean by that is a consumer may see your brand offline or on print or outdoor or television, and then come and Google your brand. And what that does is, you may think of it as a digital conversion, but actually it's not a digital conversion, it's conversion from your other marketing activities. So being able to segment at least some of that in terms of, let's say, having separate phone numbers for each channel and having virtual numbers can be one way to make that segregation happen. But at the same time, make sure that you're aware that what you see online is not purely online, and what you see offline may not be purely offline, because there's a huge overlap between what the consumer is actually doing. And the last step is, when you're also reviewing your entire campaign, look at it as a holistic campaign, because each of them are actually impacting each other.
Right.
And in fact, what we've seen is that if you do a more holistic 360-degree campaign, that's far more successful than just doing a digital-only campaign, or just doing a print-only campaign, or just doing an outdoor-only campaign. If you combine all the channels that you have and do a more 360-degree campaign and review it as such, I think that definitely gives a lot better results, and that's what we see many brands now starting to kind of adopt and do.
Yeah, as you said, one more critical challenge for a marketer is in terms of attribution.
Yes.
Now we call it as last mile attribution, right? Whatever medium which has generated that particular lead, we attribute it to that particular medium. If a call has come from print, we attribute it to print.
Correct.
But it doesn't work in that way. People see our ads in multiple platforms, but it is kind of it's a difficult situation for marketers, right, to attribute the lead for a particular medium. So what will be your suggestion in this scenario?
Yeah, I think
do you have any attribution model for this?
Yeah, so we typically don't recommend a last click attribution model because it's a bit deceptive. So we typically recommend the position based attribution model, where we looked at the first touch point and the last touch point as being the most important touch points, and in between we give them equal weightage.
Okay.
So there are 6 touch points, then the first and last get the maximum, and the balance 4 in between get equal weightage because they also impacted the result. And there are tools today that let you track some of this. At least the digital journey of people you can track.
Okay.
If they came from Facebook, if they came from your email campaign, if they came from Google, if they come from a display campaign you did on Times of India or Dinamalar or Dinatandi, you can track the digital journey to a large extent. The second is, like I was saying, have virtual numbers. So virtual phone numbers allow you to then track at least what is the result that's coming through phone calls through each of these channels. And in fact, we've seen calls come from multiple mediums. Even people look at a display ad and call you. People look at your Facebook campaign and call you. And that's actually very, very high quality leads because the intent is very high. So having virtual numbers would be the second way of sort of doing an attribution. The third and final is to being able to isolate some pieces of media on some specific days or times.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you have some days where you only do print, you'll actually understand what is the impact of print on digital as well. Because if you didn't do anything on digital that day, then anything that came out of digital is also coming actually through your print campaign. So having media dark days on some of these channels allow you to actually build a model which allows you to understand which channel is working to what degree and extent for which campaign.